It's not going to change for women in a Christian community who are in leadership if we're not talking about these things. So this podcast is speaking true, vulnerable experiences where women really tried their best to show up well, even when they failed. And how do we extend grace in failures and mistakes, knowing that to be a leader and to be a woman in leadership is one of the hardest things, especially in the Christian community. This podcast is for women who are pastors, CEOs, ministry leaders, founders, and women serving within the fivefold who carry vision publicly and wrestle privately. As you listen, you will gain courage to confront your own story without shame, wisdom to strengthen your leadership, and clarity to rebuild with discernment, boundaries, and grace. You will not just hear testimony, you will receive language for your process, tools for healthier leadership, and the confidence to lead again without losing your soul. This is the Sword Grace Unscripted podcast. Good morning, everybody. So, as a Christian woman in leadership, I have walked through seasons where I have wanted to give it all up. The private practice, the not-for-profit, that in the midst of COVID, I was asked to establish by the Lord. And when you go through seasons in your personal life where it was hard for years, and recognizing as a leader, having people around that can hold you, and when you don't have the right alignments, it can have a domino effect into your professional role in whatever capacity, ministry, business. And that was the converging issues for me. And I think what I'm coming on in this raw realizations over the last for quite a long time, but some significant things in the last couple of weeks has woke me up to the reminder of why the Lord has asked me to do the things that I'm called to do. And I think what's important is we have these moments where God helps to remind us the call, and that it doesn't go without Him constantly moving pieces out of the way, people out of the way, systems out of the way. And sometimes that means even yourself until you're ready to recognize what the Lord is doing. And I had to go through a season where so much was happening. I was struggling, and I'm coming on in this raw just process to share with you how important it is as leaders to heal, to have safe people around you, to have the right alignments. Because if you don't, it is the very thing that the enemy will use to dismantle and take you out. I had to step away in the end of 2024 and all of 2025 in various roles that I had kept a small private practice, a handful of clients, but really the focus of 2025 and still in 26 accessing support. But most of last year was walking through intensive counseling, sitting with my pastor, speaking with my spiritual mother in meetings, walking through with safe people, other pastors surrounding me. And it was an important season. And I come on here to share as a leader, as a Christian, as a woman who has responsibility and accountability. It is important that you discern all of the people in your life. You discern the wounds that might be an access point to make decisions from that can contaminate, that you can make mistakes and you can fail. All of us fall from glory. And I'm so thankful that the Lord reminds me that I'm not here to perform or figure it all out, or it's my job to make sure all the pieces come together. It's His job, and my job is to be obedient and faithful to what He is asking of me in this season. So in all of that, one of the things that I put in active and actually came close to wanting to fold, the not-for-profit, even the private practice. And it's over these past couple weeks where the Lord has brought two circumstances particularly, that out of all the circumstances that could happen, these two hit too close to home. And of course, everybody has followed a little bit of one of those circumstances. As a driver who was drunk, who is a human, who had made a mistake, who's still loved by our Lord, who in those moments made a mistake and failed and hit my building. And even though there's an anger, so I'm standing out in the rain at 20 after 1 in the morning with cops, and my heart softened because it was in that moment the Lord gave me a flash of the person when I was on an OPP placement when I thought I wanted to be a police officer. And again, this is a story that comes back to me often. And we detained an individual, and it was in that moment where I didn't want to be on the other side of the jail. I wanted to be inside helping this person. And it was in that moment that the Lord's like, can I remind you of why I called you to change literally your career? And then the second part was over this last couple weeks, I had a mom reach out to me. Oh, and this one breaks me more than anything. And she's been a mom who has a son, same age as my son now, who my son will be 21 and her son is 21. Her son battled cancer and is battling with really hard things right now. So he's got complex PTSD because of oncology. And she went searching and scouring everywhere to find me. And the email that I got was, if you're the Tina that I think you are, my son needs help. And so her son can't leave the house. He is battling with symptoms. And she's been fighting to try and figure out how to get funding for him for counseling because he can't leave. And so these two moments for me in my raw emotional experience as a leader, I look at the flashbacks of things that I've walked through, the hardship and things where I'm facing new chapters and new seasons, and recognizing how important it is to get your healing, because I was so close to giving up everything. And here I am today with two examples of a why that I do what I do is to find subsidized long-term treatment for people who can't access the funds. So I come on to share this raw story of reminding every leader that there is a why, but the Lord has given you your why. He has mantled you with purpose, and that if there's cracks or a need for healing, the enemy is always, always out there looking and prowling about to try and see if he can take you out. And because I was so close in a failure that I walked through, and mistakes and pain and just hardship, I needed to step away to do that. But I also needed a reminder. When the Lord reminded me in the two areas of things that have touched my life, one professionally and one too close to home, and I saw the suffering, it reminded me that I can do something. I can reopen the not-for-profit Selah Treatment Center, subsidizing care. And so I end with this. The not-for-profit is going to reopen. It's been closed. It's been inactive for a little over a year now. I'm reestablishing a board of directors. I am changing up the programming. One of the programs that Selah Treatment Center will establish is for families who have battled medical trauma. Doesn't necessarily mean it's oncology, but it is also part of that, because one of the things that people don't know is OHIP may cover parts of cancer treatment. It doesn't actually cover it all. And it certainly doesn't cover the post-traumatic stress disorder and all of the trauma that happens afterwards for families when they face medical trauma. Selah Treatment Center is establishing a new program. What that means is the new board of directors, which I am now starting to seek board of directors who want to actually help steward finances, do fundraising. And that is the mandate of this board of directors, is to help build an organization that subsidizes a long-term treatment. We're not going to be a short-term treatment center, but we are a long-term treatment facility. And I would love for anybody who is interested in helping build this organization that wants to subsidize long-term treatment. If your heart is there, you are a builder, you are someone who knows how to steward funds and fundraise, I would love for you to reach out and apply for a board of directors position. We're looking for people who just have a heart for the community, for those who are often discarded, those who have left a rehab center, and we want to catch people the in-between before they relapse. We want to help medical trauma. We want to help people who have significant mental illness and they can't access funds. But we need funds in order to do that. We need people pouring donations and sponsorships and fundraising in order to make this happen. So this is my call in a person who almost stepped away from it all, forgetting the mantle, the vision of what I'm called to do. Now reaching out to say, we are going to begin to pursue and develop all the things that we're called to develop. And I'm using all of the things that I've walked through, reminding myself that how good our God is and how good He is to restore and redeem, but more importantly, help shine the light on the areas that I first needed to work on in myself so that no longer will I collapse. No longer will I let voices that speak into my life dismantle me, and no longer will I stand imprisoned in my own life, because every single person will walk through seasons. And we all have choices. But I leave you with this. It's the constant reminder how good our God is, how good He is, in order to remember us always, to love us and walk us through all the things that we need to walk through in order to reestablish us. So I would love, if your heart is here, our not-for-profit is in Canada. If you want to steward even one of the programs that I just had shared speaks to you, don't hesitate to reach out if you want to be a part of a fundraising committee or on the board of directors, because the not-for-profit Selah Treatment Center is going to be reestablished with a new heart, new vision, but also same mandate. So thank you, everybody, for just listening to this raw moment.